Good morning. Fancy opening, and then we'll hit it right for that. Sorry, I got nuts there. Sorry. Hold on. There it is. Good morning, cool cats and kittens. All right, good. All right, I have to figure all this crap out today. I don't know why it always makes me look like a munchkin. Is it like I look so tiny? Maybe I have body dysmorphia. All right, let's get to it. Focus. Don't give in to the jokes. Focus. Serious time. Let's get to it. It's time to make the donuts. All right, let's start with the basics and then we'll go from there. Let's start with the indexes. This should be pretty good. I've got the windows open. Jobless claims are jobless claims. I don't really see the need to get into it. Give me 1 second, please. All right, so what the heck happened there? Oh, you're just rebalancing everything. Oh, that's going to be nuts. I don't think that's right, though. All right. Oh, probably on that news. Yeah, I don't think that's right. But we'll see. All right. So in regards to the NQ, we're not really going anywhere, right? But I think there's more to it. But, for our purposes, we'll get into it on Saturday. We're not really going anywhere. We're just kind of riding the lightning, as I like to call it. And, these little tests to me, frankly, they look like liquidity grabs. And I don't think they're anything more than that. So that's really how I would view them. If I was to look at these, you can just kind of see how they're going, right? It's getting tighter and tighter. This whole thing is getting tighter and tighter. And it can stay like that for a while. It really can. So, some of the things to talk about is RTY and how that looks, right? And then you take a look here at the ES. You can see how this looks. So it's very clear where the money's going. The money's going in the small caps, and that's really where you should be focused on small caps. I actually have a whole thing here. I should start publishing more of this stuff really online. Let me make sure I got the right mic on. It's been jumping mics on me. And hold on, I got the there. That should do it. Get rid of the glare. You have a green screen. I don't want a green screen. There it is. All right, cool. I have this thing here. I'll pull it up real quick because I think this is super important. Small. I think there's a way that I can post this stuff or these watch lists, right, to give to you guys. But this is a good one. Where is it? Copy link. Yep. So here, I'll drop it in. And then you guys can do whatever you want with it if you're on there or not. Oh, I hit the wrong button. I hit impact, whatever the heck that is. So give me code here. Use that. So this is all small caps. And then you can click right on that and it'll give you that watch list so that you guys can just save that watch list. I think that's how you can do it, if whatever. But I think it's super important to look at, because if you take these and go through them, it'll show you like where the money's going, right? And really tech. But if you go through them, and they're really tiny funds, they're all hitting, like, look, they're all getting above what? That 55. So where's the money going, right? Where's the money going? Say it with me. Industrials, right? Tech, right? Look, even consumer staples, which is super interesting. But you look at some of these things, materials, small cap materials, like small caps is en fuego. That's fire in French. So I think that's super important to get. Oh boy. Hold on. Talent. All right. You're not supposed to. Talent. I didn't have that on my. You're 415 now? Oh my God. What a monster you turned into. Why are you up so much? Operating costs jumped 18% on Goldman. That should knock the stock down. Yeah, that should knock it down. Operating costs jumped 18%. John Harbaugh going to the Giants. Man, you guys, that's just awful. Awful. Anyway, I think that it's very helpful when you start following the money that way. I do want to talk about silver. That's why you're moving. Something's coming there. Hold on one second. That's pretty interesting. I have a position in this. And then I'll get back to it. But I just saw this. I want to get to it. Star Surgical and Broadwood Partners enter into cooperation pact. Star chair and CEO stepping down from the board. You got rid of 3 people on the board. Who remain, and they're going to get rid of their CEO. That's going to be. I have a lot of this. It's going to be a fun day with this. So the guy that owns 30% of the company is getting rid of everybody. I guess they're setting it up for a sale. That's going to move today, up or down. That's going to be pretty darn volatile. But them replacing the board like that and getting the CEO out is telling you pretty much everything you need to know. It's just a matter of time, sometime this year, I guess. They turned down $30, which is kind of crazy. But, I guess this guy thinks they're going to turn the company around. I took a big position in this. It's kind of a longer term thing. It takes guts to turn that down, dude. To have that kind of money, to have that kind of position in it and turn it down, it takes a lot of guts to do that. They know something. So, one of those fundamental flyers. Let's go take a look at the Qs real quick, and I'll get back on point, but that's going to happen sometimes. We'll talk about Taiwan Semi in depth. But let's get to this real quick. And now, sometimes I'm going to just say this because I think it's true. The amount of people that think that all they need is technicals and not understanding the way the fundamentals work on companies, there's so much edge right now. I think there's more edge now in fundamental analysis than ever. because everybody's like watching like TikTok, and the guy on TikTok tell them what to buy. But this is my move for TikTok. All right, so Goldman's got a problem here. You're not going to come back from that, I don't think. When your costs go up 18%, see, when you start understanding this stuff, and when people ask me, like, how do you learn it? You learn it by listening to conference calls, reading conference calls. You should follow the transcript on Twitter. They do a really good job of explaining conference calls, and you'll start picking up the vernacular. I think that's going to be a problem for them today. Your cost just went up 18%. I can't think of how that's a good thing. How are you going to explain that on the call? So let's see how that goes today. Costs up 18%. You know, JP Morgan, I'm hoping that gets washed out soon. How we doing here, buddy? How you doing there, little guy? You know. So you got the doji right here. Doji. And what you really want to see is, are you going to get above that? So you got to get above the green one. I don't care about this one. I want to know when it happens. I don't really care. Well, I shouldn't say I don't care, because if I didn't care, why the hell would I mark it, right? So obviously I care. All right, so there we are. All right, so there's that. There's Goldman. BlackRock just printing money. Larry Fink just making it rain. You know, I love these guys that are telling you about housing, that private equity should be allowed to buy housing. And they're like, oh, it doesn't make a difference. It's only 3.5% of the market. Well, why do I have to compete with them in general? Like, it's just crazy. You guys will remember when Mitt Romney came out and said corporations are people too? And people still think politicians are going to come and help them. Okay. Anyway, I don't see this as the trade. I don't see this one as the trade. Stay with me. I don't know that it's enough to get you where you need to go. Let's take a look at something real quick. BlackRock partnership with Microsoft raised $12 billion. Microsoft and BlackRock are going to partner with a goal to raise $30 billion for AI. Give me 1 second. Why are you tied to Taiwan Semi? I'm just going through news, guys, to see if there's something here. Sometimes the devil's in these details, and I get like reports and transcripts, and then I'm trying to share it with you live. So live, just give me 1 second here. Shares and benefit, LAM. Yeah, we know LAM, AMAT. We're going to get to all that. Give me 1 second. How's this tied to them? I don't understand this. Coinbase pulled support on some merger. How's this tied to BlackRock? I don't say it. All right, I'm not going to spend time on this. We got too much to do. Let's get to it. Let's get to the Qs, and let's get to these levels, and then we'll go from there. I don't understand what it's. Oh, they pulled a crypto bill. Apparently, BlackRock wanted the crypto bill. Coinbase didn't want the crypto bill. So you got a little bit of a showdown there. So you're still at the same levels here. So I don't really think that there's anything to really go over. I mean, how many times am I going to point at 626 every single freaking morning and just point at it, like, look at it? It's kind of old, right? So, especially for the time that we have together, I don't think that I'm doing like anybody a big service at this point, doing the same thing. So, you guys all know it's here. You know that we haven't been able to break it. Eventually you're going to break that area, but for now, you're forming one heck of a rising wedge and you're not able to break it. So I think that's how you need to look at it. And I don't think that you should think about it any other way but that, right? Drop that to a 5 and we can get into all that again, go back to the 4-hour here and then drop this off. I appreciate all the comments about the strength report that we're doing on Wednesdays now. I think it's a really good idea. You're right, at the 60, 78, 6 level again, and rejecting. So that's not really rocket science either, right? But more importantly, when we look at some of this stuff, let's clean that all off while we're talking about this. I like doing that strength report. I think it shows people how, a little bit of education. And then at the same time, I think it also gets people to look at where they should be looking. And I'll be able to link those videos together throughout a year on a Wednesday. And then you guys will be able to see how finding out where the strength is going. You guys are going to want to look at STAA today. Where the strength is going, you'll be able to track it over a year and see how it actually works. So, which I think is going to be absolutely huge for people to learn from. So I'd make sure that you watch Wednesdays. And there you are again. So we just dropped the anchored volume profile. So you have what? You have a huge resistance point there, right? You have the value area high there, and you have the 78.6 there. So, I think that's a major resistance point, but someone likes to say you should do what you're comfortable with. So it is what it is. Now we're approaching it again, but I'm sure this time will be different. Couldn't even say that with a straight face. All right, let's get to the NQ and see what's happening there and see how that's going. Wow, if there's only a level that looks similar to the one that's on the Qs. I think it's more of a band. I think you would agree with that's more of a band, right? Like that's definitely more of a band in an area than anything. And then if we go here and go boop, and then at the same time, you'll see that in that area. And then if we go here and go here, I mean, it doesn't really get any clearer, like what's going on in there, right? Like it really doesn't get any clearer than that to me. But as always, you should do what you're comfortable with. Oh, look, you're going right through it. So you're going to hold there. It's actually a big deal if you can get through that. And then we go take a look at the ES. See how it's flipping it over and over again. Really important to know what a point of control is right now. You're seeing a lot of that. See if this is really working a lot differently, and I think that's because you're doing a lot more. You're doing a lot more there. We're going to just, for time's sake, I'm just going to drop this down as well. I like doing this every single day so you can see exactly what I'm doing so that you can do it for yourself. What did we do? What did we lose? The video? Man, do yourself a favor. If you're ever going to get on them internets and do this, the way to do it is a $20 camera. I don't know what the heck that one is because this one I spent like $800 on sucks. Let me see if I can find it real quick. If not, we're just going to not bond. Well, you probably could do it that way too. Hold on one second. I wonder if I could do it this way. Just give me a second. See what that does. I bet you that works. Hold on. We're almost there. It's almost there, guys. It's almost there. Unbelievable. Does that work? That might work. I think that might work. Hold on. This might work. That kind of works. All right. Well, that's what we got then. That's what we got for today. So, all right. Let's just keep going. More bonding. $20 for that one. And you get to see the mic. I don't really care. Well, let's just keep going. I think that's going to be all over the place today, man. The STAA, I got a ton of that. All right. So where am I here? Here and here. Get that done. Let's go to ES5. So right off 78.6 again, also what happens to be point of control. Super technical levels here, guys, for you traders. You guys that are trading this stuff. Super technical, right? Like you can't really miss it. Look at it. I am curious about one thing that I just overlooked, and then it's 51. So then I'll take questions, but I really got to hit that right near that 50% bounce. You got net buyers still, guys. So I am curious about one thing, but I definitely think I'm over it, but I just want to double check it before I say that I am. Yeah, you're way over that, sucker. Just trying to think what's going to hurt you that I'm not paying attention to. Let's get rid of this for BlackRock. The biggest thing is this. Everybody is going to start upgrading this stuff now. And you should really ask them pourquoi, which is Spanish for why. You really should be asking them, where were they? So, everybody's in on this stuff now. Taiwan Semi crushed. Taiwan Semi has a history of fading. Just FYI, you should do what you're comfortable with. So just keep that in mind. But they crushed, absolutely crushed. Gross margins, everything's up. I do think that people are looking at like KLA, and they're like, oh, we're going to have to upgrade KLA. Lam Research, 39% of their business is DRAM and memory. So you're going to see those names go nuts. AMAT, that kind of stuff they're going to have days. But they tend to fade today. So I think you're really better off understanding what's happening here on the fundamental side. I don't know if you want to be from a long-term perspective. I don't know if you want to be the guy that's out here buying this stuff. So, I know these people get absolutely, I know she, wow, that's really something. I got to stop looking at some of these headlines. So anyway, with something like AMD, like you crazy kids love this one. I think there's better names, but it doesn't really matter what I think. I don't know, man. You just got to be super careful chasing this stuff because news hit. I'll leave it at that. And I think you have to be really careful of that because you're going to see a lot of that today, right? With like everyone's going to buy AVGO and they're going to go crazy. Oh, I got to get involved. We have to get involved. Where was everybody, a little bit ago? Like where were they all here? Where were they all here when we've been talking about these names for months, here. And now up here, everyone's like, oh, well, I'm going to upgrade it. Like that is the fastest way for you to get smoked by retail traders, like smoked. So just, understand that and go from there. One more second to just check something. All right, cool. We're good. Let's do it. Oh, you know how it's pronounced? However I want to pronounce it. Don't pronunciate shame me for my accent. Matt. What other days we positively impacted? It's going to be all these guys, dude. Like the number one name that's impacted is this. The number one name that's impacted by it is this, because 39% of all their revenue is NAND. Like they are the memory semiconductor capital equipment manufacturer. This one should be impacted the least. It's just so beaten down that people are going to buy the damn thing. So I'd be super careful running into them. But if you're asking me who's impacted by it, as Matt likes to say, lithography is definitely going to be impacted by it. And then so is KLAC, AMAT, Lam Research. Like you have to build all this structure out, and it takes a long time. When you buy a lithography machine from ASML, I mean, besides it being $400 million, they give you your own team of engineers that comes with it, dedicated for that machine, just to kind of put it into perspective. And they raised their numbers again, Taiwan Semi, for next quarter. So, capital utilization. Remember when Warren Buffett bought this and sold it at like 80? Because he got scared. He's the worst. Anyway, it's all the semi-cap. I actually think, I think the move, candidly, this is where my head is with it, is that Intel should be out there trying to make DRAM. And if they did, the stock would go nuts. And I don't know why SkyT isn't getting the love. I don't know what. Maybe I'm just a little spoiled because of where we bought it, but this thing should be zooming, and it's just not getting it. It really isn't. This theme's not going to go away though. So maybe I have to have more patience. I have the patience of a gnat. Bostic says government shutdown distorted all the data till April and May. Oh, that's interesting for them to come out with that statement. Good morning. I like it. Oh, is that why it's up? You're welcome, Batman. Is that why it's up? Thank you. The metals, I'm actually short silver. It's not really working. I mean, it's working, but it's not working like I want it to work. I want it to die. I want it like a 7 handle. I want it halted. That's pretty much it. You had a DeMarc reading the other day. Let me go to the top of this and get through this. So hopefully that answers your question, buddy. Here's what I would say. I'm not a fan of this because I'm worried that Trump comes out and does something, and says that Netherlands can't have the chips because it's a backdoor to China. But I can go a couple different ways with that. I could spend it. I can get to the tinfoil hat side of it. Here's where my head is with this. And I think this is super important. I like the name a lot. I was looking at this thing in the 30s. Actually, Citron nailed this thing at I think it was in the teens when they changed their name and everything. He nailed it. I would say this, if you look at it from this perspective here, you broke the 55, you came down and you tested it and you didn't break. So I think it's definitely worth looking at. I think that you have to have some patience, but it's definitely worth looking at. Yeah, hands down. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. What else? Philly America. Yeah, the silver, the physical silver I'm not buying. I do. I like it a lot. Mittens. Yeah, the daily quotes are good. I actually had someone say that was going through like a really, I got to do them more. I had somebody like reach out to me who's going through like a really tough time, and they saw it. They saw one, and they're just like, "Hey, I was going through like a really tough time." I'm like, Jesus, like you don't realize the impact you have on people sometimes. I don't know. Here's another quote. You just don't know. But I was like, wow, all that from a quote, but it worked. Good morning from Carolina. Carolina's so nice. Yeah, I see them. I'm wondering, is that where we're going next? They're definitely, it's all one big trade, right? So they're all flipping at once. They all have the same setup too, like left head, right shoulder. Right shoulder is more developed. I really like the name. I don't know why I'm so apprehensive. And whenever I am, oh, there's some news. Hold on. Whenever I am apprehensive, I listen to it. It's all the same trade. You see it? Look at it. Like they're all flipping the 55 at the same time. I just saw something. What's a MetaMask? Is that where I store my NFTs? All right. I actually saw somebody that I actually respect still talking, and I actually respect the guy. He's like a really big business person, like made a killing and like a really tough business. And he's like all into NFT still. He's still buying those damn monkeys. I don't see how that helps me. It doesn't seem to be helping me. All right, let's go there. Yeah, copper is going to probably be pretty strong. I think you have to be super careful with all this stuff. One of the things I was saying yesterday, and I bought this, and it's probably going to get stopped out, was that when this cracks, it's going to crack hard, like hard. And, I'm short this, and it's not for the faint of heart because you come in and you're down like $60, on the long side. But you're getting there. You're getting to that point where I think they're going to get some margin calls. I think they're going to start calling people, but we'll see. Mittens. What else you got? IWM, yeah. Glaringly obvious. It's glaringly obvious I have an accent and pronounce things the wrong way. Good morning, Catherine. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I bought this company, and I always tell like when my ideas are going to work because the community groans at me. I can almost like by the level of like, this is so boring. They have the only mine that produces antimonium that from World War II. And a lot of people don't know that China actually in December, before Trump even got into office, stopped all shipments, didn't even like raise prices, stopped all shipments of antimonium into the US, halted all of it. Never got picked up by the news, nothing. And we need it, and we've needed it since World War II. So they're the only ones with it. So critical minerals are here to stay, man. John Paulson owns 27% of this company and is a big donor, but you should do what you're comfortable with. I don't know how I feel about this camera. It's kind of aggressive. I don't know if I should be like, maybe I should raise this up. Is that going to help me? That does help a little bit. All right. So thank you. Okay. What else we got? Bro, it always fades. It always fades. I actually, it's interesting because I want to talk about this. Does it fade because it's like an 80 ADR? Does it fade? That's a great quote. Does it fade because it's an ADR, because it's trading at a premium? It's like it trades at like a huge premium to the actual stock that's on the Taiwan Semiconductor or Taiwan Exchange, which is like 50% or 64% of the actual exchange. And I wonder that sometimes, you know, I wonder that sometimes, like, is that why it fades? Because if that's the case, then you could probably have some kind of arb trade on where you're shorting Taiwan semi in the US with the ADR and then long the you know, Taiwan semi in Taiwan, but you can't do it for too long because of the currency exchange. But I wonder that sometimes. And maybe I should look at that instead of wondering, right? But dude, you could set your clock to it. Like I went back in the community. It was literally like 8 for 8 going back to 23. I think there was one. I think it was January. It was this one where it didn't. That was the only one. Other than that, you were literally like 8 for 8. It's crazy. So I won't go near it. What else we got here? I don't know. Why would it crash? Buying a lithography machine? If I had the space for it, the only time I ever thought about buying something like physical was like when oil, there was a bunch of us when oil went to, you know, this is how you know traders should not be trading by themselves in a room and like talking to their friends online. We were trying to figure out here how we could find a physical location to start buying gold or buying oil. This is when people started to realize that a future contract actually meant delivery. When they started to realize that they were actually, okay, where do you want us to deliver your barrels of oil? And they're like, wait, what? Yep. Where do you want your oil? No. That was the day. Well, I actually had a great day that day, but anyway. You have to pay him. You have to pay DeMarc. I like the drone names a lot. I think they move too much. I like the space names better. I like the satellite names better. They're killing it. Warren's a loser. I've been saying it for years. He gives like the worst advice. He tells people to like buy an index fund and then puts 50% of his account in Apple. Told Gates to sell what? Microsoft? Sell your Microsoft, diversify. Guy would have been a trillionaire. I think these names look a lot better, like Rocket Labs, SATS. You know, I think GSAT's another one. That doesn't look as great. VSAT, how's that one look? That VSAT looks like it's going to rip people's faces off today. So, you know, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think he's given like the worst advice ever, and he hasn't even outperformed the S&P in like 2 decades, and he 50% in Apple. So whatever. And the thing's trading like you're paying like a 60% premium to be in it, which is just dumb. I don't get it. How does tokenization work? Yeah, let's knock that out in 30 seconds. You're killing me, Jay. You're absolutely killing me. If there weren't ladies here, I'd say something else. CRML. Let's go through this real quick. That's a really interesting chart. I wonder why you moved the other day versus MP. Oh, you finally caught, huh? They finally realized that they wanted the upgrade and everything. You do a little liquidity grab. That's interesting. Yeah, I do think those names should move. Yeah. Yep. They're the things to short. Yeah, it won't matter. It really won't matter. Just watch. Yeah, you have names. I have trades I've owned for a very long period of time, longer than 3 years. Yeah, 100%. There's names that there's just like literally no reason to sell. Like I show people this stuff and then I'm going to have to jump. But like even now with Microsoft, like when was the right time to sell Microsoft? When people say, what about long-term trading? I'm like, well, when was the right time to sell Microsoft? Was it during the .com bust and boom? Like should you have gotten out here? Right? Or do you get out here? Like, when should you have sold Microsoft? When should you have sold Apple? When you start looking at this stuff, it's like, you have to think about it. Like, yeah, there's stuff that I own, and I don't understand why you sell it. I can do a whole video on that, dude. Like, there's literally names that you don't like. If when people say long term, like where's the name in a decade? And I have a whole list of things. I did a class on it in the community on like 10 baggers and how to find them, like names not to sell. And then I did one. I need to do another one on like how to own, what stocks to own for like a decade. But yeah, there's companies that there's no reason to sell, like, ever. Does the price of action is driven by geopolitics around Greenland? All right, walk me through it, dude. So walk me through that. Why? All right, so Sierra has the rights to Tambre's rare earth deposit in Greenland. So what difference does that make? Do they lose the rights? Do you know what I mean? Like, do they lose the rights if the US is there? Like, no matter what, they have the rights, right? So it's not they're going to get more rights or lose more rights because of that. So I'm trying to figure out why it would matter. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm trying to figure out why it would. I don't know. CRMX. Oh, good. They have something here so we can just lever. Oh, this is healthy. Yeah, what could go wrong? Oh, they're hoping that they'll take a stake in it. Okay. It could also just be the fact that this thing came out the same day, that thing moved. And then based upon that, now they're going to go out there. Does CRML have options? Because they're not buying CRML stock. They buy synthetics. Yeah, CRML has options. So this CRMX has got to go out there and buy calls and puts in order to compete with the stock, which is going to drive CRML higher. It could just be a technical thing that happened there at the same exact time. But yeah, I mean, if they go to Greenland, then maybe they do take a position in Greenland, but they want a position in Greenland to watch Russia. All right, I got to jump, guys. See you guys. Make good choices.